Yeah, it was the only statement that anyone was interested in or that he could have made to move the needle. And it's the driver in the market right now. There's a lot more for us to unpack, but he literally said starting next month, the month of May, he will dial back the amount of time he spends at the Department of Government Efficiency and reallocate time to Tesla. And that was really reassuring to many investors. There are lots of smart people, by the way, many of which listen to your program, I'm sure, particularly in Washington, D.C., that would say, hold on a minute. We knew that he'd stopped doing that in May because of the 130-day limit on special government employees. So to many people, it wasn't a surprise, but the stock reaction is extraordinary, of course.
How do folks know? And there was a lot of little concern going into this from some observers who said, well, I'm concerned when he leaves the government or does a more of a less full-time basis at the government, he's going to be spending time on XAI rather than on Tesla. That seems to be where his attention is. How do we know it's going to be Tesla?
And I continue to hear that from sources, right? That XAI is really important to Elon Musk. But you know, the experience of the last 12 hours, I didn't even bother going home last night. When I finished your program, I did the earnings call, and then I just slept in the studio, and I woke up, and we start again in the morning.
You know, I was going to start saying, did you even go home last night? Because I wondered. Anyway, man, you rock. Oh, you're being like Elon. You're sleeping on the factory floor.
I am, of course, joking, but it was a quarterly earning. It was a quarterly earnings report of a public company, and the story is very much about Elon Musk, who's the stated chief executive officer. But in all quarterly earnings reports, the IR team is involved, the legal team is involved, and the finance team is involved. And the language around a rapidly evolving trade environment or policy, changing political landscape, and the fact that Elon had to use his opening remarks to address his return to the company, having focused on Doge. You know, this is all partly process and legalese, right, in the context of earnings. And to answering Tim's question, you know, Musk had to kind of do that, right? And he did. He used the earnings call as the forum to answer a lot of these questions.
Did he answer any questions about the viability of the robo-taxi business, the June start date in Austin?
Yeah, look, lots of people approach this with healthy skepticism. The news was that in June, a robo-taxi service in a very limited way will launch in the city of Austin. Actually, about an hour ago, Tesla posted a video to its X platform which shows employees demoing the service. It looks something very similar to what Waymo looks like here through a proprietary app. The principal difference is the video shows a Model Y, an existing passenger vehicle with a steering wheel and a safety driver in the front. So yes, they said it's still on track. That was the earnings news. They clarified through this video today. And what Musk said was, of his own volition in his prepared remarks, that it will be the middle of next year, 2026, when he sees Tesla deriving meaningful revenues from that robotaxi business. That's kind of news. It's kind of an update. But also remember that Elon Musk has a track record of making projections on timelines for something to happen. He often misses that date, even though that he gets there in the end.
Is Tesla better having him more involved? Can we just, because it feels like some of the, you know, what's happened is also the political connections. And I don't know if that goes away overnight. So I'm just curious, how does having, go ahead.
I mean, we talked last night, didn't we, about the Trump bump that Tesla experienced in November. The stock gained some momentum on the basis that Elon Musk's close affiliation with President Trump would benefit the company. We also talked about the example of there being a red Tesla Model S parked outside of the White House and the president promising that he'd buy his own one. But that has really faded. It was interesting last night to get phone calls from sources who work at the company saying, you know, has been absent since January. He doesn't communicate in sort of company-wide memos anymore. But people both credit him as being absolutely crucial. It's in the boilerplate, right, in the regulatory filings about how key Elon Musk is to the future of that company. They have to disclose it as such. But people also talk about his role in key decision-making. He has, over the years, done that. And at the same time, as demonstrated on the earnings call, there are other executives there. It's not as if, like, the company isn't, like, working while he's in Mar-a-Lago or whatever. There are people there who are deeply experienced, but it all comes down to key man risk, and Elon Musk is, in Tesla's context, the definition of key man risk.